Hi, everybody. Today, I am here to do a tier ranking of Abby Jiminez and Emily Henry books and talk a little bit about their recent new releases, Say You'll Remember Me and Great Big Beautiful Life. Most of these books are going to be reviewed in future episodes of the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR podcast, so I'm not going to say a lot about them as far as reviews go. I will just say what my rankings are, how I rate the book Boyfriends, and if I think the couple from previous books will still be together now. The first book I wanted to mention today is Yours Truly. This is the second book in the Part of Your World series, and it's my favorite book in the series. This book focuses on Brianna and Jacob, who are doctors in a hospital. Brianna is the best friend of Alexis from the first book in the series, Part of Your World. And I have said in previous reviews of this book that the reason why I connect to Jacob so well is because he has anxiety, and he talks about his coping mechanisms. And the coping mechanisms I have for my own anxiety are taking walks or journaling. So Yours Truly is 4 stars. Do I think Brianna and Jacob are still together? Yes. Do I think that they have children? Yes. The next book I wanted to mention briefly is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This was her release from last spring, and it focuses on Daphne and Miles, who are jilted at the altar at their weddings because their significant others end up hooking up with each other, and I love the development between these two couples. This book got 4.5 stars. Miles reminds me of Nick Miller from New Girl. The reason why I relate to Daphne so well is because she's very bookish, because she works as a children's librarian. And I gave this book 4.75 stars, which is pretty close to 5. The next book that I am talking about today is Beach Read, which came out in 2020, I believe. I think this was her first release. Right, yes. This book came out in 2020, and it focuses on 2 authors named Gus and January, and they are my top favorite couple in Emily Henry's books. I just love their banter and how their relationship develops, and Gus says a really sweet line about, what is it now? I have to... Here it is, right here on page 347. When I watch you sleep, he said shakily, I feel overwhelmed that you exist. And I just think that particular quote that Gus says to January is very emotional, and it makes me cry because it just proves how sweet he is. So Beach Read gets 4.5 stars, and as I just said, this is one of the books that will be reviewed in a later episode of the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR podcast. The next book that I wanted to talk about do I think that Gus and January are still together? Yes. I still think they are still together. They have been married by now for 4 years, and they have 2 children. The next book I wanted to talk about was Abby Jimenez's release from last spring, called Just for the Summer. This is the 3rd book in the Part of Your World series, and it focuses on Justin and Emma. Emma is a traveling nurse who gets a summer job on an island, and she meets Justin online in a Reddit chat room for Am I the Asshole? And they basically decide to get together to try to break a curse about their relationships not lasting too long, and I just love the dynamic between Emma and Justin. And the thing that's really cute about Justin is the fact that he makes surveys to send to Emma post-date in Predate about her experiences or getting ideas of what she wants to do. And I think that just gives extra effort to show that he cares. So I gave this book 4 stars, and I just love the setting of it too. And people have said in their reviews also that this cover is sort of misleading because while it looks happy on the outside, there are a lot of dark themes in this book because both of these characters deal with being abandoned by their mothers, and Justin has to raise his 2 younger siblings by himself. So I think that he and Emma are both in their 20s, and his little siblings are like 10 and 12. So do I think this couple is still together? Yes. I think they decide to get married so they can raise Justin's siblings together and that they eventually have their own children. And this will take place over the course of the next couple of years since this book just came out last spring. The next book I wanted to talk about is Happy Place. The reason why I selected Beach Read and Happy Place for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR is because of the episode of Friends called The One with the Jellyfish, where they travel to Montauk Beach so Phoebe can find her birth mother, and also the episode of Gilmore Girls where Rory and Paris are in college and they go to the beach for spring break. I believe they go to Florida. And another reason why I chose this book is because it's set in Maine, where I live. And I have reviewed this book in a couple of other past videos. What I like about it is the friend group dynamic. It also reminds me of the friend group dynamic in Friends. It's about a group of friends who meet in college and go to a beach house in Maine for the summer while they're at college, and they are reuniting one last time before the friend whose family owns the beach house sells the beach house. And the main couple in this book, Wynn and Harriet, are they've been broken up for about a year, but they're afraid to tell their friends that they have broken up because they don't want to mess up the dynamic of the group. This makes me think of how the situation with Ross and Rachel breaking up should have been handled in that 2-part episode series where Ross and Rachel break up. Like, if Ross had actually been truthful with Rachel about how he was feeling, then he wouldn't have had to cheat on Chloe with her. I mean, he would not have had to result to being unfaithful to her and cheating on her with Chloe, who was the girl from the coffee shop. Are Wynn and Harry still together? No. I think that after they break up, they remain broken up because there's a lot of miscommunication between them in this book, and I can't stand that. The next book I wanted to talk about, by the way, so Happy Place and Just for the Summer both get 4.5 stars to 4 stars. I wanted to talk about Abby Jimenez's new release, Just for the Summer, Say You'll Remember Me Next. So I'm just going to say how I rate this and what my prediction is for this couple still being together, since this is a new release. So in our next episode of the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR podcast that is coming out at the beginning of June, Kathleen and I are reviewing this book, so I don't want to say too much about it because we're going to be talking about it in our next video. So the reason why I gave this book 4 stars was because I connected to the plot of dealing with relatives that have Alzheimer's disease, because Sam, the main female character, her mother has early onset dementia, and her family members deal with the same kinds of issues that my family members dealt with when my grandmothers were dealing with dementia, with dealing with them losing their memory and like dealing with them being combative and all that kind of thing. So because I was so easily able to connect to Samantha's character, that's why I gave this book 4 stars. I also love Xavier. I think he's a really big sweetheart. He is a veterinarian, and they meet when Sam takes her cat into his vet clinic, and he basically says you have to put your cat to sleep because he's really old. So do I think this couple will still be together in a year? Probably. The next book I wanted to talk about is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I picked this up at the bookstore last Tuesday. I just finished it on Tuesday this week, so this took me a week to finish. I should mention also that I have been reading many other books in between the books I've been reading recently for this Friends and Gilmore Girls TBR. So this book has been getting mixed reviews from the various booktubers that I watch. The people that have reviewed it so far are Millie reads a lot, Gabby reads. I just watched a video where Kayla from Books and Lala reviewed it, and then Destiny recently reviewed it, and so didn't Haley. So, is this my favorite Emily Henry book? I mean, it sits on the cusp of being rated 4 stars, but the reason why I rated it 3.5 is because I just felt the parts about Margaret's life dragged on and on and on, and they kind of felt unnecessary for the plot. And this was supposed to be a romance book, but I didn't really see a lot of romance between Alice and Hayden. And I'm not sure if they would still be together in a year because I just didn't see a lot of chemistry between them from the onset of the novel. So this book is compared to Beach Read because Alice and Hayden are both writers, and is also compared to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid because it's about people interviewing a reclusive writer to write her biography. And I feel like the execution of the interviewing of the famous celebrity to get their history was much better executed in Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I enjoyed reading about Evelyn Hugo much more than I enjoyed reading about Margaret. So Emily Henry's writing is good as always. I just wish there had been more chemistry between Alice and Hayden because I felt that was very lacking. The next book that I read for the TBR for Friends and Gilmore Girls was People We Meet on Vacation. This book is not being reviewed until September because Kathleen and I will be doing a comparison between the book and a Netflix TV series. Do I think that Alex and Poppy are still together? No, because there's way too much miscommunication between them. I don't think their relationship will last beyond the end of this book. The next book that I wanted to talk about is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Me and Kathleen reviewed this in our upcoming podcast episode for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR. We gave it 3.5 to 4 stars. Do I think Charlie... So stay tuned for our review of that in the upcoming video that will be out on June 2nd. Do I think Charlie and Nora are still together? No. Their personalities are too similar to each other. I think they are both very arrogant, and I don't think their marriage would last very long. But I feel that if they were to get married, they would be a good uncle and aunt to Libby's baby. Because in this story, Nora and her sister Libby go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for a vacation before she has her baby. So I would like to see Emily Henry write a sequel to this book about Libby having her baby, and if Alex and Charlie are together as a couple, like how they are as an uncle and aunt to the baby. The final Abby Jiminez book that I have physically here is Part of Your World, which is the first book in the Part of Your World series. I like this book because all of the references to Disney movies, as you can see, Part of Your World is a reference to the song from The Little Mermaid. Alexis, the main character in this book, definitely is a representative of both Belle and Ariel to me. She likes to read, and she is in a very controlling household where her parents are like dictating her life, like Ariel. So would Daniel and Alexis still be together? Yes, and they would probably be working at the bed and breakfast together. And we have made the recipe for the crepes, and we gave it 8.5 out of 10 stars. So I wanted to talk about 3 Abby Jimenez books that I do not physically own. I borrowed them from the library. They are the books in the Friend Zone series, which was her first series that came out in the mid to late 2010s. So the 3 books in that series are called The Friend Zone, The Happy Ever After Playlist, and Life's Too Short. I rated, first of all, I DNF'd The Friend Zone because I could not stand the male main character. His name is Josh, and he was a very big misogynist, and he also was not very respectful of the fact that the main female character, Kristen, did not want to start a family because she couldn't get pregnant. She had endometriosis, which is a disease that does not allow you to get pregnant. So I just feel like this couple definitely would not last. They would not even get together. I think that Kristen would not be able to tolerate how misogynistic Josh is, and that she would just go find another guy that would care about her. The next book in this series is called The Happy Ever After Playlist, which got 4.5 stars. This is about a girl named Sloane who comes across a dog who has run away from his house, and she has a hard time getting a hold of his owner, who she later discovers is a musician who has been out of town because he's been performing in concerts. His name is Jason, and he's a guitar player. And I just love I love this couple's chemistry. I think it was the banter between Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry do such a really good job of writing banter between their romantic leads. The banter between Jason and Sloane in the Happy Ever After Playlist is no different at all. I just love them as a couple, and I love the dog in this book too. I think all of these characters from all of these books from Abby Jimenez all have dogs in them. Actually, that's what I've noticed. I think the only book of hers that doesn't have a dog in it is Just for the Summer. The last book by Abby Jimenez that I wanted to talk about today is Life's Too Short. This focuses on a girl named Vanessa who's a social media influencer, and she meets this guy named Adrian who is a chef, and besides their romance, the secondary plot line is that they adopt Vanessa's niece Gracie because her mother has substance use disorder and is a drug addict and cannot take care of her. So do I think Adrian and Vanessa are still together? I think their ending is pretty ambiguous, like in A Walk to Remember, because we all know that Jamie dies at the end of the movie, and we know that at the end of the book, and that Landon and Jamie get married before Jamie passes away, but you actually don't really know like how much time elapses between when they get married and when Jamie dies, and if they actually do have kids or not. if I could write an alternate ending to A Walk to Remember, I would hope that Jamie goes into remission so that way she can have kids. I mean, she may eventually pass away, but at least for the ending of the story, I would hope that the cancer is in remission, although I feel like in this book she has had the cancer for a long time. In Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, Vanessa has ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, which is a disease that deteriorates your muscles as time goes on. So, as I was saying, the ending of Life's Too Short is very open-ended and ambiguous, so you do not know how long it takes for Vanessa to pass away from her ALS, but I think it's getting progressively worse by the end of the book. So, I mean, I would love to see Abby Jimenez write a sequel or like maybe a novella to Life's Too that associates with Life Too Short, just to see what happened to Vanessa and if she survives dealing with ALS and her raising her niece Gracie, and if the mother who's the addict ever gets back into the picture and has any kind of relationship with her kid. So that is my ranking of Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry books. What did you think of their recent releases, Great Big Beautiful Life and Say You'll Remember Me? Leave your thoughts in the comments, or you can wait to share your thoughts on Say You'll Remember Me until the podcast episode that Kathleen and I are releasing on June 2nd. Have a great day.